This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. Treasure tales often emerge from the most unexpected circumstances. My introduction to one such story happened during a casual conversation with a stranger, who later revealed himself as an emperor of the Cherokee Nation. It was through him that I first heard of a hidden fortune in gold, said to lie somewhere in the southern Appalachian mountains. The tale dates back to the early 1830s, when a gold rush in northern Georgia led to the Cherokees being forcibly removed from their ancestral lands, a tragedy now known as the Cherokee Trail of Tears. In the chaos and urgency of their displacement, the Cherokees reportedly hid their gold to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. The removal was so swift and thorough that the gold was never reclaimed. At first, I listened to the stranger's story with skepticism. His claim seemed incredible, too extraordinary to be true. However, as I later discovered, this self-proclaimed Cherokee emperor was also a highly skilled goldsmith, practicing a craft passed down through generations. His expertise lent weight to his tale. The history of Cherokee goldworking remains largely unwritten, shrouded in mystery. How long they had been crafting gold before its discovery by white settlers is unknown, but there's little doubt that they had a tradition of working with the metal long before the Georgia gold rush began. At the time of our conversation, I was unaware that Georgia was once a gold-producing state, but subsequent research revealed substantial evidence supporting the possibility of gold hidden by the Cherokees. As the conversation unfolded, I cautiously asked questions, trying to keep the discussion alive without betraying too much curiosity. I feared that overt eagerness might cause him to end the exchange abruptly. The idea of hidden gold, possibly the treasure of all treasures, was too tantalizing to risk. Until then, I had never encountered any evidence suggesting that gold had been a significant part of the daily life of any Native American tribe. Yet here I was, hearing what might be a closely guarded secret of the Cherokee people. Unfortunately, the conversation did come to an abrupt halt when the merchandise the Cherokee man was waiting for arrived. However, before we parted, he extended an invitation for me to visit him and examine some of his gold artwork. I later learned that these intricate pieces likely reflected the craftsmanship of his ancestors, who had hidden similar gold items in Georgia before being forced to march to Oklahoma. When I mentioned my interest in writing about our discussion, his response was striking. His initial icy stare seemed to pierce through me, but then his expression softened, and with the gravity only an elder Cherokee could convey, he granted permission, with conditions. I was not to use any names or include details identifying specific individuals. Any further background would need to come from my own research. Although the existence of the hidden gold was considered common knowledge among the Cherokee, they had no records of the quantity or exact locations of the hidden treasures. One critical detail emerged from our talk. Each Cherokee family group was responsible for concealing its own gold articles. The treasure was not buried collectively as a nation, but rather dispersed across numerous small caches in different locations. This means that the hidden gold is likely scattered, consisting of many smaller treasures rather than one large hoard. Whether these treasures truly exist is not for me to declare. Yet, if history has any bearing on this tale, I find it plausible to believe that such treasures remain hidden, awaiting discovery. The Cherokees were likely the most advanced Native American nation encountered by the early European explorers of what is now the United States. The Spanish explorer, Hernando de Soto, was the first to encounter the Cherokees in their native Appalachian homeland during his quest for gold from 1540 to 1542. Had de Soto survived his expedition, this story might never have existed. He died along the Mississippi River in 1542, before he could report back to King Charles I of Spain about his findings in northern Georgia and the Carolinas. While there is no known record of de Soto discovering gold among the Cherokees, it is possible he took this secret to his grave. What we do know is that De Soto's interactions with the Cherokees strongly suggest he was aware of their gold ornaments and ceremonial vessels, which were integral to their traditions long before the arrival of Europeans. The Spanish explorer may have recognized similarities between Cherokee traditions and those of the Inca civilization, whose wealth in gold was revealed during their conquest by Francisco Pizarro in 1532. De Soto himself had profited greatly from the conquest of the Incas, earning 180,000 ducats for his role. This discovery of gold in Peru may have fueled his ambition to seek similar riches in the lands to the north. After returning to Spain, De Soto was drawn back to the New World in 1538 by rumors of wealth in the mountains beyond Florida. He arrived with a force of 743 men and 123 horses. The size of De Soto's party that ventured into the southern Appalachians remains unknown, but it was likely small. A larger force might have allowed him to overpower the Cherokees and seize their gold outright. It appears he intended to return with reinforcements, but he died before he could make another attempt. The Cherokees continued to live in peace and mined gold from the Appalachians until 1799, when white settlers discovered the precious metal. The first documented find was a 17-pound nugget in Cabarrus County, North Carolina. 5 years later, a 28-pound nugget was unearthed on the Reed Plantation nearby. These discoveries were sent to the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia, and word of the gold spread quickly, sparking the same kind of rumors that ignited other gold rushes across the country. Before these events, the Cherokees had led a relatively undisturbed life, governed by their own sophisticated political systems. Their gold ornaments and ceremonial items attracted little attention until the gold rush began. The sudden influx of gold seekers disrupted the Cherokees' quiet and organized society. However, the source of their gold remained a carefully guarded secret. In response to the growing threat, the Cherokees hid their gold with extraordinary care. Their gold ornaments, ceremonial vessels, and other reserves were concealed in ways that only they could achieve. They sealed their mines and stashed their treasures in caves known only to them. The name Cherokee, derived from the Muskogean language, fittingly translates to cave people, underscoring their expertise in safeguarding their secrets. The intelligence and foresight of the Cherokees played a significant role in ensuring these treasures remained unrecorded and undiscovered, preserving a mystery that endures to this day. The Cherokees were unprepared for the relentless encroachment of white settlers, nor could they anticipate the federal government's refusal to uphold their territorial rights. As gold fields in northern Georgia expanded, the Cherokees were gradually forced off their ancestral lands. Ultimately, they were driven westward on the infamous Trail of Tears, a forced march to Oklahoma. This tragic displacement ensured that they would never return to reclaim their golden heritage in the southern Appalachians. A few Cherokees managed to remain in the Carolinas, but as their numbers dwindled, so too did their collective memory of the gold's location. If a written record of this golden hoard existed, it may still lie in the hands of the Cherokee Nation's leadership. Under the guidance of Sequoyah, a Cherokee of mixed heritage, the tribe had developed a written language of exceptional sophistication. It is possible that they documented the hiding places of their gold and compiled an inventory of the treasures buried so long ago. However, this idea remains speculative. Each time the topic of a written record was broached with the Emperor of Tsalagi, the conversation was swiftly redirected. This pattern of evasion hinted that such a record might exist, though no direct confirmation was ever given. In the absence of such a record, our understanding of the hidden Cherokee gold must rely on the historical developments of the Georgia gold fields in the early 1800s. Drawing conclusions from early accounts, it is challenging to estimate the value of these hidden treasures accurately. However, a conservative assessment places their worth at approximately $1,000. The gold discovery in Cabarrus County, North Carolina, had already pushed the Cherokees further south into northern Georgia, settling on the west side of the Chestatee River near what is now Gainesville. Two significant Cherokee trails converged near this area, contributing to Gainesville's establishment and incorporation in 1821. One of these, the Appalachian Trail, passed through the gold-rich regions of northern Georgia. It likely served as a route for the Cherokees to transport nearly pure gold mined in the nearby mountains, possibly collected from stream beds or found as large nuggets similar to those discovered in North Carolina. The Cherokees were able to maintain their way of life in northern Georgia until a pivotal moment. A white man witnessed an Indian boy playing with a gold nugget as casually as a modern child might play with a marble. The man purchased the nugget from the boy's mother, though she refused to disclose its source. This single nugget ignited the first major gold rush in the United States. Unlike the earlier gold discoveries in North Carolina, which had not spurred such a frenzy, this event led to a rush that rapidly engulfed northern Georgia. Within a few years, the Cherokee people were forcibly removed from their lands, their connection to their ancestral gold severed forever. Experienced miners from the gold-rich districts of Burke and Rutherford counties in North Carolina flocked to northern Georgia, accompanied by waves of inexperienced fortune seekers from all directions. If the influx had been limited to seasoned miners, the Cherokees might have adapted, as they had done before. But the ruthlessness of these newcomers, who disregarded legal land ownership and respect for the Cherokee Nation, transformed northern Georgia into a chaotic region of boomtowns. Many of these towns, like Auraria, the site of Georgia's first gold rush, are now ghost towns, while others have vanished entirely. The Cherokees realized too late that the white man's gold fever was an unrelenting obsession, driving men to commit violence for the gold the tribe had quietly collected for centuries. Faced with this harsh reality, the Cherokees decided to hide their gold in places they deemed most secure, locations that would remain invisible to the treasure-hungry intruders. Their chosen hiding spots were small, concealed holes within caves, meticulously sealed with materials designed to blend seamlessly into the natural cave walls. Over time, these hiding places became indistinguishable, even to the Cherokees themselves. For those attempting to uncover these treasures today, a good metal detector would be indispensable. It is remarkable that none of the Cherokee gold appears to have been discovered during the peak of mining activity before and after the Civil War. If any was found, the discoveries went unreported. Throughout this period, the quality of the gold mined in northern Georgia never matched the exceptional fineness of the gold used by the Cherokees to craft their ornaments and ceremonial vessels, suggesting that the sources of the gold were different. With no realistic chance of the Cherokees reclaiming their ancestral lands or recovering their hidden treasures, the responsibility falls to persistent treasure hunters exploring the caves and mountains of the southern Appalachians. Based on available information, it is widely believed that each family unit of the displaced Cherokee Nation hid its gold in its own unique way, near the areas where they once lived. For those willing to search, the hidden possessions of this once proud nation could become their own. Even if a treasure hunter does not uncover the vast caches of gold buried in the caves, the region still holds a wealth of other relics for the determined explorer. The ghost towns and abandoned mining camps are treasure troves of old bottles, mining tools, and forgotten artifacts, all waiting to be discovered by those with the diligence and curiosity to seek them out. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, truetalesofburiedtreasure.com.